book lovers, it's Jenny at Julia Baby Jen, and Empire of Storms is out! Yay! Alright, so I'll throw this in my book haul at the end of the month too, but I just wanted to show off Empire of Storms. I'm so excited it arrived. I'm sure you've all got your copies probably right about now too. But here it is in all its gloriness. Oh, so beautiful. Oh, I love these covers. Just gorgeous. I really wish we could get by without all the writing, but it's still beautiful. Like, I really liked Crown of Midnight. Well, I guess it had that on there a little bit too, but it's not as noticeable, the writing. Heir of Fire is where it started to get a little more, and Queen of Shadows, yeah. But mainly I wanted to talk about how different this book is from the rest as far as the actual book itself. Now, as far as reading goes, I have not read Queen of Shadows yet, the fourth book, so my goal is actually, I'm not going to be reading this probably till next month. I was going to do Sarah J. Maas next month, so I was going to actually reread Heir of Fire. Mainly, I wasn't going to reread Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight because I've read them both so many times now. I have read Throne of Glass at least a dozen times now, and Crown of Midnight probably at least half a dozen. And there's not as much going on in these two books, so I don't think I need a refresher. But Heir of Fire I've only read one time, and it was a lot that happened. So I think I'll probably reread this, and then I'll go on to Queen of Shadows, and then of course Empire of Storms, which I'm very excited about. But, so I'd heard this, when I opened the box, I'd heard that this book was going to be enormous. And it's not. I mean, it's about the size of Crown of Midnight, maybe just a little bigger, but then I looked at page count. There are, yes, 689 pages in this book. Are you kidding me? I was like, what? How? Then I looked at Queen of Shadows. I'm like, well, that's the biggest book. How many pages are on that? 645 pages in Queen of Shadows. So there's less in here than there are in here. And I think there's like 550 or somewhere in that in here. And then Crown of Midnight and Throne of Glass are around 400. So I'm like, why is this book so tiny? So then I started looking at the print. I'm like, well, maybe the print is a lot smaller. But it's not. It's the same size print. So I'm like, okay. So then I'm like, well, maybe it's the paper, and I think that's where we have our answer. The paper in all the other books is very similar. It's your normal paper that you get in just about any book that you would read, that you get from the store that's not a mass market paperback or anything like that. I mean, like a good book. It's about the same on all the books except for Empire of Storms. It's almost like a newsprint. It's very smooth and very thin, and it feels a little bit like newsprint or a magazine almost. I mean, if you kind of see, I don't know if you can see the light coming in very well, but it's very thin. And then also, when I opened the book for the first time, just to check some of this out, it creaked really loudly, and I think that the binding is such that it's very tightly bound as compared to Queen of Shadows, which seems a little looser. So I'm not sure why they changed that. My theory is that because it's been it appeals to the masses, I guess. So this is a fantasy series, and fantasy lovers expect big books. We like big honking books. It's not a big deal to us. But but other people who don't love fantasy maybe just want a normal size book. They don't need to see a big epic book. It intimidates them a little bit, I think. This is just a theory, okay? I could be completely wrong on this. But this is what I'm thinking the publishers are thinking, not saying that it's actually true, but so the idea being that because this has become so popular series across the masses, they wanted it to be a little bit smaller so people would pick it up off the shelf and buy it. That's my theory. I don't know if it's right or wrong. And I don't mind it. It's not a big deal. I just was confused. I was like, what is going on here? And then my other thought was, well, that'll actually be kind of nice because when your book gets really big and heavy, it's kind of hard to read. But actually, this is heavier than Queen of Shadows. If you hold each in your hand, this is just a tad bit heavier, not a lot. But, so it's not any lighter. It just looks like it's a smaller book than what it is. So, anyway, I just wanted to discuss that. What are your thoughts on this? Have you guys all noticed this yet? Have you looked at page numbers and have you compared it to the other books? I'm just curious if I'm the only one who finds this interesting, but I just thought this is kind of interesting to me, so I wanted to talk about it. Anyway, regardless of how many pages it has, I'm sure it will be an epic story. I'm very, very excited for it. We still have one more after this, right? At least one more, I'm sure. This is not the conclusion. Last I heard it was going to be a 6-book series, but I don't know. If anybody knows, just let me know in the comments below. I can look it up too and probably figure it out. But anyway, enjoy your Empire of Storms. If you haven't read Throne of Glass, I highly recommend it. I do think it's great fantasy. If you're not a fantasy lover, I think that you might still like it. It's like fantasy even just a little bit. If you like kick-butt girl characters, this is the one for you. Don't get too attached to anybody, because Sarah J. Maas is ruthless. Alright, well I hope you guys all have a good day. I will talk to you later. Bye.